In the vast expanse of the cosmos, the spiritual journey stands as one of the most profound and transformative voyages one can undertake. This journey, not just physical but also deeply metaphysical, has a vast depth of experience. It's a process that transcends the boundaries of the physical world and delves into the depths of the inner self. The spiritual journey, a path filled with wonder and revelation, a quest where the seeker becomes a discoverer. It unfolds mysteries and truths as it's a journey of growth, learning, and self-realization. However, the journey is not always smooth. Oftentimes, it is paved with trials and testing one's resilience and resolve. The voyage unravels many facets of existence, revealing the world in its raw, unfiltered form. It exposes the seeker to the realities of life, both joyful and painful. One of the most formidable challenges is the feeling of isolation, a seemingly inevitable companion on the path to self-discovery. Imagine, if you will, a man named John. He was just an ordinary individual living a monotonous life, but one day he decided to delve into the depths of spirituality. As on this journey of self-discovery, he was brimming with enthusiasm, eager to explore the uncharted territories of his soul and make a connection with the divine. He was excited, yet anxious, not knowing what he would encounter as he dived into the abyss of his inner being. His journey was not a smooth one. As he plunged deeper into his spiritual awakening, he began to scrutinize the societal norms and values that were once an integral part of his life. He began to see the world through new, enlightened eyes and started questioning everything that he had previously accepted without hesitation. This newfound perspective, while liberating for him, was met with resistance from those around him. John was not deterred by this opposition. In fact, it propelled him further into his spiritual exploration. Each question he posed was a stepping stone that led him closer to his spiritual awakening. This questioning, however, began to create a rift between him and those who clung to these societal norms. The more he questioned, the wider this chasm became. He found himself becoming increasingly distant from the people he once considered his own. This journey was a lonely one, but John was not deterred. He chose to follow his path, his truth, even if it meant walking alone. However, the rift that his spiritual awakening created was significant, and it meant that he was distanced from those who clung to these norms, thus creating a chasm between them. To foster his spiritual growth, John dedicated more time to solitude and introspection. This decision to devote more hours to solitary contemplation was not spontaneous, but rather a carefully considered choice, a response to the intense craving for inner peace. He yearned for a deeper understanding of his soul, an insight into the mysteries of his own being. He felt this was the most effective way to achieve that spiritual enlightenment he so passionately sought. John's solitude, however, was not an easy path. It was a journey of introspection, a voyage into the depths of his consciousness, a probing exploration that required courage and conviction. Each step of this journey was laden with unspoken questions, doubts, and quandaries that challenged his resolve and tested his determination. The solitude was not just a physical state of being for him, rather, it was a mental, emotional, and spiritual state that allowed him to delve deeper into his psyche. It was a potent tool for meditating, praying, contemplating, and most importantly, for connecting more deeply with his inner self. But this commitment to solitude had a flip side. It created a peculiar sense of isolation, a distance from those around him who couldn't comprehend his unorthodox needs. It erected invisible walls between him and his peers, who struggled to understand why John would willingly choose such a path. This was not the isolation of loneliness, but rather the solitude of the spirit, an isolation that arises not from alienation, but from a profound exploration of the self. While this solitude allowed him to connect more deeply with his inner self, it also led to a sense of isolation from others who didn't understand his need for solitude. As John's spiritual awakening progressed, his relationships began to experience a transformation. This spiritual evolution, a journey he had embarked upon, started to create subtle shifts in his interpersonal dynamics. The once strong bonds he cherished with his companions and beloved family were now weakening, subtly yet noticeably. Familiar faces, once sources of comfort and companionship, now seemed to be drifting away, leaving John subjected to an unanticipated sense of isolation. The companionship he once enjoyed was now replaced with a burgeoning feeling of solitude. His friends, who once shared moments of laughter and camaraderie with him, found themselves struggling to comprehend this change. His family, too, watched with puzzled expressions, unable to understand the metamorphosis he was undergoing. They tried to grasp his evolution, but their attempts only seemed to deepen John's feelings of seclusion. His transformation was not just an internal journey, but also a transformation of his external world. He was becoming a different person, and his surroundings seemed to reflect this change. The changes were subtle but significant, leading him to a state of increased isolation. His friends and family struggled to understand his transformation, which only added to his feelings of solitude. John's spiritual journey was filled with profound experiences that were difficult to articulate. It was a voyage of introspection and discovery that not only transformed him on a personal level, but also changed the very perspective with which he viewed the world. Everywhere he turned, he found traces of a divine power, a universal force that breathed life into every inch of the universe. But as he dipped deeper into this transcendental trip, he found that his experiences were becoming increasingly challenging to explain. His words, he found, couldn't do justice to the depth of his experiences, couldn't convey the storms of emotions that raged within him. He found himself entangled in a web of his own thoughts and emotions, struggling to find the right words, the right expressions. Every time he attempted to share his experiences, his words fell on deaf ears, met with blank stares or incomprehensive nods. The more he tried to explain, the more he felt that his experiences were getting lost in the chasm that separates human language from pure emotions. This lack of understanding, this failure of communication, made him feel like he was locked in a world of his own, distanced from everyone else. This communication gap made him feel misunderstood and isolated. His connection with the divine, as awe-inspiring as it was, created a sense of distance from the material world. Like a celestial being, he found himself in a realm far detached from the ordinary, his reality echoing with divine whispers unheard by the common man. His world was painted with vibrant hues of the ethereal, beyond comprehension of those grounded in the tangible. This spiritual elevation, while enriching his soul, made it difficult for him to comprehend and engage with the everyday trivialities of life. It was as if he lived on the precipice of two worlds, one of divine omnipotence and the other of human vulnerability. He found himself lost amidst the daily hustles and bustles, the mundanity of it all seeming alien to him. The everyday conversations, the mundane tasks, the everyday life of an ordinary person appeared dull and uninteresting to him. Like a bird soaring high in the sky, unable to understand the instincts of the creatures crawling on the ground. This disconnect created an abyss between him and the world, making him feel like an outsider in his own existence. Living in his divine realm brought him closer to the godly, but it also built walls between him and the ordinary. It made him feel out of place amidst the worldly affairs. A profound loneliness engulfed him, a paradoxical feeling for someone touched divine. The loneliness was not because of the absence of company, but due to the absence of understanding and shared experiences. His interaction with the divine, as magnificent as it was, alienated him from the rest of the world. He longed for a sense of connection, a bridge between the divine world and the material one. But this sense of longing only added to his isolation. This disconnect left him feeling even more isolated. John's spiritual growth involved letting go of ego-driven desires and attachments. This journey of transformation demanded a significant amount of self-discipline and a profound commitment to his spiritual path. His pursuit of enlightenment and higher consciousness involved a radical shift in perspective, questioning the very essence of his being. It was a process of unlearning, embracing stillness, and seeking wisdom in solitude. John's detachment from materialistic desires was not a sudden awakening, but a gradual process that spanned over years. It was a relentless journey towards inner peace, marked by numerous challenges, self-doubt, and moments of deep introspection. As he delved deeper into his spiritual quest, his interest in worldly affairs dwindled. His disinterest in worldly ambitions created a gulf between him and his peers. As he focused more on self-awakening, he felt increasing disconnection from the material world, feeling somewhat alienated in the process. This detachment from worldly pursuits further amplified his sense of isolation, as he felt detached from the ambitions and aspirations of those around him. Despite the challenges, John continued on his journey. Alone, he discovered a sense of unity in the isolation he had previously feared. The silence was no longer a void, but a space filled with potential. This solitude was not but a catalyst, an unexpected chance to turn inward and find a deeper connection with the divine. He cultivated this solitude, letting it seep into his bones, strengthening his bond with the divine. The more alone he was, the more he found himself growing, evolving, expanding in ways he hadn't imagined possible. He found respite in the solitude, a place of retreat where he could delve into introspection and gain clarity about his life's purpose. His journey gradually became a path of spiritual discovery, of realizing his true potential. He started to understand that his path was, in truth, an internal one, which didn't require validation or understanding from others. He realized that the incomprehension he faced from the outside world was not a barrier, but an integral part of his journey. Their lack of understanding was an impetus, pushing him further into his path of discovery. This realization transformed his journey into an enlightening adventure. He understood that his path was an internal one, and the lack of understanding from others was just another part of his journey. John's hypersensitivity to energy and emotions made it difficult for him to be in crowded places or in the presence of negative energy. This unique characteristic, akin to a high-functioning antenna, made him acutely tuned in to the feelings and vibes surrounding him. A simple trip to the supermarket or a crowded train station could become an overwhelming experience. The echoes of joy, anger, and anxiety of others would mingle with his own, resulting in a tumultuous, emotional maelstrom within him. Even the subtle, barely perceptible changes in the energy patterns of a room would not go unnoticed by him. This perception, while unique, was far from being a superpower. Instead, it was more of a heavy burden he had to bear every single day. The overwhelming influx of emotions and energies from his surroundings made his world a tiring and stressful place. As a result, he opted for solitude as an escape, a sanctuary from the overwhelming sensations that pressed upon him from all sides. However, his retreat into solitude only heightened his sense of seclusion. He found himself torn between the desire to connect with the world and the need to protect his own emotional well-being. This constant battle left him feeling increasingly drained and isolated. This increased sensitivity led to a desire for solitude, further amplifying his sense of isolation. John's story is a testament to the challenges of the spiritual journey, particularly the struggle with feelings of isolation. These feelings can often be overwhelming, pushing you towards the brink of despair. But it is crucial to remember, just like our protagonist John, you are also never truly alone on this path. This journey might appear to be a solitary one. It may feel like you're navigating through a sea of solitude, but it is precisely in these quiet moments that the true potential for inner growth and self-discovery lies. This solitude, it's not an enemy but a friend, a companion who walks with you, nudging you towards self-realization. It's this solitude that presents an opportunity to build a deeper connection with your inner self and the divine. It is in the silence of your own company you'll find the echoes of your true self. It allows you to break away from the of the world, guiding you towards introspection and self-discovery. So, fear not the silence, for it is not a symbol of abandonment, but a beacon illuminating the path to your true self. Embrace the solitude, for it is not a sign of being lost, but a beacon guiding you towards your true self. Remember, the spiritual journey is not about the destination, but the journey itself. It's about the experiences we encounter, the moments we cherish, the trials and tribulations we face, and the personal growth we undergo as we navigate the winding paths of life. It's about the endless quest for understanding, wisdom, and enlightenment, the pursuit of knowledge and the courage to challenge the unknown. It's about the climb, the struggle, the resilience, and the determination to keep going, to keep growing. It's about recognizing that each step we take, irrespective of how solitary it may seem, is a significant stride towards self-discovery, self-improvement, and self-realization. It's about maintaining faith and embracing the belief that the journey, despite its hardships, is worthwhile and enriching. It's about appreciating that in the grand, expansive, and wondrous tapestry of the cosmos, we are intertwined and interconnected with everything and everyone. You are never truly alone.